Perry Owen built his reputation the way most men build lies, carefully and over a very long time. The charity gala was his stage. He moved through the crowd of wealthy donors like a man who had never once doubted himself. Tailored black suit, electric blue tie, a gold pin on his lapel shaped like a heart with a shackle through it. His donors saw the heart. Nobody looked close enough to see the shackle. He stopped at the center of the room and spoke. He told the crowd about families who now had roofs over their heads because of his foundation, about children who now had food because of his donations, about communities that were standing again because of his work. Every person in that room believed him. They had no reason not to. What none of them knew was that most of it was not true. 3 weeks before that gala, a junior accountant at the foundation was reviewing the monthly financial records when she noticed something that did not add up. A large sum of money had been moved from the donation account into a vendor account. She checked the vendor. The company name existed on paper but had no office, no staff, and no physical address. The money had simply gone in and never come out for its intended purpose. She flagged it to her supervisor and said nothing to anyone else. Her supervisor dug deeper and found that it had happened before. The same pattern repeated across several months. Donation money collected for a housing support program had been quietly moved into accounts that existed only to receive it and make it disappear. Money raised for a community food initiative, gone. Money donated specifically to fund free medical clinics in low-income areas, gone. All of it redirected through fake vendor accounts that Perry had set up over 3 years. By the time investigators formally opened a case, the total amount missing had reached into the millions. The morning investigators arrived at his office, Perry was sitting at his desk reviewing notes for his next fundraising speech. 2 investigators walked through the front door without calling ahead. His staff watched from their desks as the investigators crossed the room and placed a thick folder of financial documents on his desk without a word. A senior investigator, a calm woman in her 40s with steady eyes and no patience for performance, looked at him and said exactly what the evidence said. "You collected money from people who trusted you. You promised them it would help struggling families. Then you took it." Perry said nothing. He walked out of that building later that evening, and the city looked exactly the same as it always had. Same streets, same lights, same noise, but something had shifted in a way he could not name. The crowd from the gala was gone. The applause was gone. The carefully built image of a generous man was gone. He stopped on the pavement outside and stood still for a long moment. He thought about his father, an engineer who spent his entire life building things that were meant to last. Perry had watched that man work with honesty and discipline and die without the recognition he deserved. That loss had hollowed Perry out in ways he never dealt with. Instead of grieving, he chased the greatness his father never received. And somewhere in that chase, taking started to feel like leading. He reached up and began to remove the gold pin from his lapel. He thought about Shannon, the janitor he had dismissed at the gala that night, a woman doing honest work, the kind of work Perry had looked down at without a second thought. He held the pin in his palm and stared at it. Some men spend their whole lives running from pain and destroying everything around them without realizing it. Perry had just run out of road. He closed his hand around the pin, stepped off the pavement, and walked forward into the dark. Not because he had a plan, but because standing still was no longer something he could afford to do.